Vegan cheesecake may sound like an oxymoron, but it's real, it's delicious, and it's easy to make. So I'm gonna share with you today my recipe for a spiced pear vegan cheesecake. And you know, pears are a full fruit and they really get forgotten about. So I wanted to give the pear its moment, and it definitely gets its moment in this cheesecake. And yeah, the recipe is actually very easy to make. The worst part is that we have to wait for a lot of chilling time. So let's do it. Hair's up so you know we mean business. To start, you're going to need a spring form pan. It's just one of these pans that has the little lock and latch on it. I like to line the bottom of my pan with parchment paper. Just, I don't know, it makes it easier for transporting the vegan cheesecake. And yeah, these are so inexpensive. This is a 9-inch one. I got it from Target years ago. I'll have one linked down below for you. You need it for vegan cheesecake making. Otherwise, I don't know how the heck you're gonna get it out of a pan nicely. Our crust is gonna be a cookie crust. And I just have to tell you, these vanilla sandwich creams, not golden Oreos, but vanilla sandwich creams from Whole Foods are like so delicious. I actually love them more than golden Oreos. They taste way better. That's what we're gonna use. We're just going to blitz this up in the blender. You're going to grab either a high speed blender or a food processor to do this. We're gonna pop in 26 cookies. And now we just have to blend this. Okay, making the cookie crust is the worst part, I won't lie. If you're having some trouble, what I'll do is I'll like dump that out. You can see there's big cookies in there right now, but it's because the same cookies stay on the bottom, and then they're the ones that just keep getting like ground up further and further, and the blade can't get to those big cookie pieces. Sometimes it's more helpful to just like empty out the bottom of the blender, and then you can put those big cookie pieces back in there. The Vitamix is so good, but it also like really compacts the things down there. Now I'll like sift through. I'm like, okay, here are the big cookie bits. Those gotta go back in. Because of the cream in the cookies, that's what helps to bind this. You don't need any vegan butter or anything. It's like a scavenger hunt. That looks good. I'm gonna blend the rest of these and we'll add them in. So now I'm just gonna spread this out. I don't care too much about the sides of it being high. Like, I'd rather it just be one big flat base. If you want the sides of like the cheesecake crust to go up, then you have to blend more cookies. Once I kind of got it spread out like that, you wanna go in with something flat and start to press it down. This is the kind of thing that you could kind of drive yourself crazy with. So just go until you feel it's compact enough. We're on to the fun part now. We're making our cheesecake batter. So we have to have a little story time first. Remember when I told you guys I wasn't fond of the Miyoko's vegan cream cheese in the bagel video? So I'm not fond of it for eating cream cheese on its own. However, it is the best vegan cream cheese for making cheesecake. Now I had to learn this the hard way because yesterday I actually already started filming this video, and instead of using the Miyoko's cream cheese like I did when I initially recipe tested this, I used Tofutti because in the past I've also used Tofutti to make my vegan cream cheeses. Long story short, Tofutti did a rebrand, right? And I think in that rebrand, even though it was mainly a cosmetic package rebrand, they did something different to the formula because the vegan cheesecake did not come out like how it was supposed to. When I show you the final result of this one, I still have the Tofutti one to compare, so I'll show you the difference that it makes. It tastes delicious, but the texture was not right. So we are here, refilming this recipe. This is like the 4th time I've made this cheesecake, which is fine because it's delicious. We learned an important lesson yesterday that brands do matter. I didn't bother to wash my blender in between because what does it really matter? Vegan cream cheese has been sitting out for a little while, so it's a little bit softened, which will make it easier to blend. We're doing 2 of these. I'm really upset about the Tofutti thing, guys. Like, I don't want to harp on it because today's a new day, but next up, we've got a package of silken tofu. Silken tofu is the tofu with the most amount of water in it. And this is gonna blend up really nicely to help give our cheesecake nice texture. There's a little water in there, so you should spill it out, but it's really not a lot. And we need the liquid from this anyway to help us blend. Only 2 more ingredients. We got vanilla extract, as we've talked about. Measure this with your heart. An organic sugar. I like the Florida Crystals sugar, or I just get it from like my store, like the generic brand. We're going to pour this in now. This is a nice, creamy, smooth cheesecake batter. This cheesecake base is plain. It is just a plain vanilla cheesecake. If you would like to add in things to make it more spiced, you can. But we're going to add these really delicious spiced pears on top in a brown sugar syrup. Wow, are those delicious and yummy on top of here. So I advise you to just leave this plain. Our cheesecake is ready to go in the oven. So 2 things I just want to talk about real quick. One, I'm not adding a water bath. If you would like to add a water bath in, you can. I've never made my vegan cheesecakes with it, and it's always been fine. I know that's like the traditional way of making a cheesecake is to have a water bath with it. I don't. Number 2, do not open the oven when you're making this. I know it's always tempting to look in. Just pop the light on. That's why they put them in ovens now. If you really need to look for some reason, you're making it the quickest possible of your life. Like, do not open this oven. Now, sometimes the cheesecake cracks on top. That's what we're trying to prevent by not opening the oven, but sometimes it cracks anyway on its own. In my world, it's okay. We're putting a topping on this. I don't really care if it cracks because I'm not here to be like a master cheesecake maker, like in terms of like the smoothness of the cheesecake on top. The flavor is top notch. That is mastery. But in terms of just like how it looks, if it has a crack, it has a crack. So this is going in the oven at 350 Fahrenheit for about 50 to 60 minutes, depending on your oven. If your oven is a little bit cooler or a little bit hotter, it may take more or less time. It is very important to know how your oven cooks. So here's how you'll know your cheesecake is done. And I want you to know there's this little cracking over here. It's fine. It doesn't really matter, like I said earlier. So this is what it looks like. Now, I hope you guys can see it, but if I shake this pan, do you see how it's jiggling a little? It's set, but it's jiggling. That's what you want, like that little bit of jiggle in there. You'll see it's also like a little bit browner in color on the edges, and it's also like, it's more of a golden caramelly color now. It's not like white like it was before. So now what happens is this has to sit on the counter for about 30 minutes to 45 minutes just to kind of cool down from baking. It gets wrapped with saran wrap, and then it goes in the refrigerator for at least 2 hours, but preferably overnight. So that part sucks. If there's one thing that making a cheesecake will teach you, it is patience. The only other thing that will teach you patience is making vegan croissants, because that tested me. That's a recipe that's in my cookbook, and they came out great, but that tested me. Going to do that, and I'll see you tomorrow as we continue making the cake, but this definitely needs to sit overnight, and it definitely needs to cool. If you're in a pinch, 2 hours will do the job, 2-3 hours, but the longer you can let it refrigerate, the more solidified it becomes. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. It is now the next day, and guys, it is the gloomiest, rainiest, most disgusting day outside. So it's a good day for baking. We're on to the fun part where we're gonna make our spiced pear topping, and then we get to like decorate, and then we get to eat it. Let's just talk our pear choice real quick. I'm using Bosc pears. They are really great for baking. You could use a Bartlett pear if you want. I mean, in theory, you could use any pear you want, but I am using the Bosc pear for this. I do peel the skin off, but I was tempted to leave the skin on, but I liked how it looked skin off more, but it might look really pretty with the skin on because it's a great color. You know how I really know it's fall? Like, I am totally in Stevie Nicks mode right now. I mean, I love Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac like all time of the year, but definitely in the fall, like her songs just hit even more. And I've been getting on TikTok, I don't know if you guys have been getting it, the video of her singing Silver Springs to Lindsey Buckingham, and she's like, "You will never get away from the sound of the woman that loves you. I'll follow you. I don't know the words." I won't bore you guys. I'll peel these off camera. All right, we got naked pears up in here, so let's cut them up. I don't mind if there's a little skin that stays on. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm just gonna make nice slices like that. I want them to be a little bit big because we're gonna decorate the cake with them on top. Try to avoid getting the seeds. So now we got our pears all nice and cut up, and we're going to cook them in a little bit of coconut oil. Need 1 tablespoon. I'll scoot in our beautiful pears, and then we're gonna just bring these over to the stove. Our pears are sizzling away in here. Gonna give them a little shake. Pears have been sauteing for a few minutes. You only need like 5 minutes to do this, to start sauteing them. I'm gonna add in our organic brown sugar. I'm gonna add in our good old friend vanilla extract. Vanilla and pears together is match made in heaven, by the way. A sprinkle of ground nutmeg, not too much. I don't love nutmeg enough to want to use a lot of it. Just a little, that's good. Some cinnamon. Gonna add in 1/8 cup of non-dairy milk. Let this just cook till that sugar turns liquefied and makes a little syrup. The amount of time that you let this cook is dependent on how thick you want this sauce to be. I like it to be reduced down a little bit, but you still want there to be sauce left in the pan. So for me, this is about good right here. The time has come. Would you like to see our cheesecake? I have it right here. Are you ready? This is the moment we've all been waiting for. Ta-da! Oh, look at that beauty. Now we did have some crackage, okay? There are cracks on here. We're gonna cover the whole thing up with those pears and that syrup. It's fine, because they're all gonna go right here and you will not know there's cracks and it'll be perfect. I am just giving those pears like 10 minutes just to chill off so we don't put like piping hot cooked pears on top of our nice cold vegan cheesecake. You can arrange your pears on here any way you want. When I did it for my picture, I just did like a little circle on top and they look beautiful. So that is how I'm going to do it. Be careful because they're obviously hot, like they're warm, we just cooked them. I try to keep the bigger ones on the outside and we could use the smaller ones later. Can always change things around, don't worry. So you're gonna have, of course, leftover syrup in your pan, so pour that over. Look at that. We're looking pretty good, we're almost done. I have one more little tip for you that makes things look really seasonal, really fall, and really beautiful, and that is star anise. It is a spice, and you can buy like anise extract. I use that in my vegan unflavored cookies. It's this beautiful spice. Let me show you. See how pretty that is? So of course they look like little stars and they look really pretty on here. They do add a slight flavor, so you know, keep that in mind, but then you can just pop them on. They add a nice little touch and design, I think, to the cake, and it just gives it another dimension of something. And there we go, look at this beautiful spiced pear vegan cheesecake. This is a little more labor intensive of a recipe. It's not really hard to make, it's just that it's time consuming, but I think the end result is really pretty and really well worth it because, like, could you imagine showing up to somebody's house with this dessert? They would think you got it at a bakery. Like, it really does look beautiful and it was made with a lot of love. So it's a great holiday recipe, a great fall recipe. Look at how pretty. It's so glossy, it's beautiful. And now is the time we've all been waiting for. We're cutting into this bad boy. High, silky, creamy, smooth, beautiful texture, beautiful vegan cheesecake. The syrup dripping is not a paid actor. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? Look at this. Now, I do just want to compare the inside texture of the one that was made with tofuti versus the Miyoko's. So it's a little more textured with the tofuti one. The flavor is delicious, but there's like a little more air bubbles in there, a little less smooth. Whereas this one is just like so silky, so smooth. In my opinion, so much better. Look at that texture. That is perfect inside. It's time to enjoy it, and it really is, you guys. It is just so silky, silky smooth. I really hope this is in focus. You have to try it because it's like, it's the best vegan cheesecake I've ever had. And with those spiced pears on top, they're perfect. They're so good. Our 2-day, really 3-day, because I just spent the last 3 days filming this vegan cheesecake saga has ended. I really hope you try this one out. Forward out recipes on the blog, plantfullybasedblog.com. Ingredients right now down below, anything I think you may need. Let me know if you try this out. If you haven't seen our other fall recipes, go check them out. We're putting out a bunch of good ones for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you soon with another video. Bye.